Okay, I've continuing on the Hewlett-Packard LCR meter. I've checked this, as you saw with my previous video with the digital storage scopes. We can see exactly what's going on here, and this all looks okay. And you could see that it was very hard to resolve on a analog scope because there's no persistence on the screen, and it's a very low frequency sweep anyway. So we've moved on to A6's U12 pin 6, and that looks pretty similar to that. This glitch here seems to be slightly larger than on this trace, but that looks fine as well. So all it leaves you with here, before it sends you off on a sort of like a no fault found, is U13's performance and CR20. Now here's CR20, which is a Zener diode, 6.19 volts, so 6.2 volts, getting 6.2 volts across there. I've got my good DC supply here. What it asks you to do is check the performance of the chip. So basically, I look at pin 2, and there's a pretty static position on pin 3. This is just as constant, where it's basically the DC offset. So there's basically nothing on pin 3. Pin 2 has a small square wave on it, or this sort of waveform here. So pin 7 should have a sort of like a, basically from what I can see, a pretty similar response. But look at the response I'm getting on the scope. Now there's something wrong there. As far as I can tell, it shouldn't do that. And I'm starting to wonder if this U13's either noisy or faulty, because there's no rhythm to that at all. It's just sort of crap, basically. This is something's missing here. It looks like half the circuit's not working or something. So I'm wondering if U13's the problem. I've gone down this road before and I never get anywhere, but that to me doesn't look right. So what I will do is I'll just show you what the other inputs to this comparator or op amp or whatever it is, and you can see what's going on. So this is pin 7 at the moment on the scope. Just turn it off. So I'm going to now look at pin 2. So pin 2's around here. These little micro grabbers are great for this sort of thing, because otherwise it means soldering all the time. So there's pin 2. Do the same thing. So we select 10 nanofarad range, we hold it, and we go back to internal sampling. So that's our signal going into the chip. So as a 0 volt line here, it's swinging about 2.5 volts negative with a couple of pips on the top. Now basically that should really, all that should do, those pips should send, because depending on pin 3, those little pips at the top should send a pulse through, which is what I should be seeing here. So what I'm going to do is, we've seen that waveform there, and now I'm going to have a look at pin 3, just to confirm that pin 3 is static. And what I might try actually doing is, I think it's safe to do, is ground test point 4 to make sure that pin's low. Or we could possibly do it further up the line. I might do that at a later stage, or even adjust this offset pot just to see if that makes any difference to the output of pin 7. So let's turn it off and have a look at pin 3 quickly. And as you can see there, pin 3 is barely changing. Very small shifts in voltage, less than 100 millivolts. So that basically we can say that point's almost static. But I'm still getting this highly erratic output on pin 7, and there's nothing else connected to pin 7 that I can see. So I'm starting to wonder now if this is the problem, if this op amp's not working properly, or it's noisy or something. We'll just go back to 7, and then what we'll do is we'll have adjusted that 0 offset and see if that affects the output. So let's turn it off. Go back to pin 7 on board. On pin 7. There's our erratic noise and junk again, so it's pretty consistent. And I'm going to adjust 0 offset pot, and 0 offset pot is R68. Yeah, so it's this pot here. Just see if that makes any difference to our waveform there, because that should be altering the sort of balance point of the op amp. Well, that sort of altered it. Quite a clean waveform now. It's strange, isn't it? Because I've adjusted that and it's all, the waveform's tidied up. That's where it was. I have been through this procedure and it did show it was okay. That's what I'm expecting to see, a waveform like that. That's very similar to what, right, the duty cycle's not the same, but that's the sort of waveform I'd expect to see on the output. So I don't know, I mean, obviously altering this point on the negative of the op amp will alter the response of this pin 7, but let's go a bit back to pin 7 and monitor that whilst adjusting that pot, see what that does. Let's go back to, not to pin 7, sorry, to pin 3. Okay, getting a bit sunny in here now, so hard to see the display. Okay, we've got a different negative offset now of 200 and so millivolts. Let's adjust this pot back. It's basically 0 volts there. Okay, so we're pretty close to there's our 0 volt line there, so it looks pretty good now. So we'll go back to pin 7 again and just see what that does. I wonder if this op amp is actually noisy. It could be just sort of not working quite as well as it should do. And we're back to that erratic waveform. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to possibly buy another IC and see if I can find out what chip it is. I mean, lost that noise now, but it's still obviously nothing like the waveform I'm getting here, and not what I would expect to see from the input going into it. I mean, the input's fairly straightforward. I suppose the other thing I can do before I end the video is just compare the two inputs, compare the output and the input. So let's put another channel on. I hope you can see that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of sunlight in here now. It makes the display, the tube's not great on this. Oh, it's going to be difficult to monitor this other point. I don't think I've got any micro grabbers. Let's see if I can get on pin 2. Not sure I'm going to be able to. And slide the board back in as well, that's the problem. I might be able to. No, not going to be able to. So I'll hold it now, and I'll have a think about this and speak to someone at work, see if he's got any idea, but it certainly looks like this op-amp's not working correctly. Thanks for watching.